All right, today we have Donovan Dooley. Donovan Dooley is a media professional who has spent years producing content for entities such as ESPN, CBS News, and Go Media. In 2017, he also started his own production company, well, his own publication, TrueBull.com. Dooley founded a new nonprofit organization earlier this year called the Dooley Foundation as an avenue to help provide opportunities to young professionals, marginalized communities who are seeking the chance to accomplish something spectacular. Thanks for being with us, Donovan. I want to get right into it. I want to start off with a different question than I usually ask. When you wake up, what's the first app you check?
When I wake up, the first app I probably check is my notes app. That's kind of where I get my, daily affirmations for the day and everything. My pastor, L. Spencer Smith of Impact Nation Fellowship Church, he gives me some good nuggets, every Sunday or whatever that I can jot down in there. And so first app is when I wake up, it's probably my notes app. I try to go and look over those things, and then obviously I go to Twitter like everybody else. Yeah, you know what I mean? To go check out what's going on with the day and everything like that. So yeah, those are probably the first two.
Right, that makes sense. Now, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So I was born and raised there. I was born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama my whole life. Roll Tide country, all that, diehard Alabama fan, all that. You know what I mean? That's where I'm originally from. And then obviously I went to school at North Carolina A&T State University, the best HBCU in the land. So, that's kind of where my journey has taken me.
Why did you choose HBCU?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story behind that. My parents, they're both graduates of Tuskegee. And so I always known about HBCUs growing up. However, I was always kind of adverse to them at first because I was like, my parents went there, they went to HBCU. I want to do something different, me just being stubborn. I wanted to do something different. I want to try something new for my own path. But like as I started looking up colleges and things of that nature, A&T really caught my eye, because number one, they give me scholarship money, and number two, they were in an area like that Greensboro area that was kind of new to me. I always wanted to work in media, especially when I was younger, and it was relatively close to Charlotte, so I was like, I'll give this a look, give this a try. And I did, and it turned out to be the best decision that I ever could have made. I got so many opportunities and just made lifelong friends there. And, I still talk to so many people that I went to school with today, and from faculty, staff, everybody. It's just been amazing. So, I'm glad that I didn't continue to be that stubborn kid that was saying no, because I didn't want to follow in my parents' footsteps. So, it's been great.
When I went to an HBCU, my freshman year was 1999. So in 97, FAMU won College of the Year. So 99, it was like FAMU was the whole wave. Like everything was about going to FAM. Howard's always going to be Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, that type of thing. Right. And with us being in the HBCU space in the middle, we see that North Carolina A&T is hot right now.
They are.
Why do you think North Carolina A&T is so hot right now?
Yeah, I mean, you really looking back to, I always say this to people when I talk to about how hot A&T got all of a sudden. Like, if you really go back and look, it really kind of all started for me in like 2015 when you started seeing just everything just started clicking on all cylinders. It was like the football team was now doing nationally televised games at the Celebration Bowl. They're on ABC every December, it seems like. You're starting to see this influx of kids coming into A&T now, where the talent level, is starting to rise even more than it was before. They've always had talented kids, but now you're starting to see the level of kids are starting to get in there, and they're starting to pick up as well too. They started to become the largest HBCU in the nation, so their numbers started increasing. Yeah. And they started advertising themselves. I felt like they started advertising themselves in a way that was actually starting to click with like our demographic. You know what I mean? They started saying they were producing they're the number one producer of Black engineers in the country. They started putting out all these stats, all this info, and everything of that nature to really entice you to A&T. Because what's interesting is, like, as a kid that grew up in Alabama, you know, we had HBCUs like obviously Tuskegee, obviously Alabama State, obviously Alabama A&M, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley. Like, you heard about those schools and everything of that nature. But when I decided to go to A&T after I did my research, everybody was looking at me like, A&T? What is that? Like who is A&T?
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now, when it came to like my senior year, like in 2018, 2019, it was like, oh, that's A&T. You know what I mean? Like that, we know exactly what NCAT's about now. You know what I mean? So it was a very quick and sudden rise for them, because, like I said, back when I was growing up, you really in Alabama, you really didn't even know much about that school, and now it's like it goes like Howard, obviously, when you talk about the prestige and everything of that nature, and then you're talking about NCAT right up there with it. You know, especially in this day and time right now. You know, that we're talking about as far as the one being one of the hottest schools that's out right now.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. So I see the football. I can see the marketing a little bit. Does it have anything to do with like some of the students? Were there any like high profile people that came out? I know Terrence J came out of there. He was around kind of like my time. Was there any like other high profile? Because I'm trying to see if we can take something from what North Carolina A&T is doing and give that to some different HBCUs to help them with their recruiting. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You know, Darren Brand, you know, obviously he's affiliated with the school, you know, there as well. I'm trying to think of some high profile names that probably came out around, you know, in that time period. Obviously Tariq Cohen, the football player, plays for Chicago Bears now. He was also around that time period. You know, Brandon Parker of the Las Vegas Raiders, and some other NFL players, some other NFL talents come out of there that's really helped put the school on the map. But I think holistically, rather than just, you know, a few names, I really think it's just been the success really of the school holistically, and the students that have been coming out there, you know, holistically. You know, you got guys going to Google, Amazon, you know, Microsoft, ESPN, like all these different companies where people are starting to look at like, oh, what's that little school in Greensboro doing that's producing all this black talent? You know what I mean? And so that's where I think we're really getting to, or we're really achieving and really getting to that prominent spot for A&T.
Makes sense. Now, you've done some work with some big brands like ESPN, CBS News, and Deadspin. To young journalists, tell us how you landed those gigs, and how would you suggest they put themselves in the position to work with big names like that?
Yeah. I'd say for me personally, I'll start off with that one. I was working my tail off basically since I found out that I wanted to be like in this media space, because as you know, it's a dog eat dog world out here. You know what I mean? There's so much going on that you have to be prepared for. And so I was just basically working, you know, if I could do work, especially early on, if I could do work, I know everybody is not fortunate enough to be able to do like unpaid internships and things of that nature. But if you can just get your foot in the door somewhere, you know, like doing anything, and it doesn't even have to be with anybody else. Like, you can be doing your own thing. You can start your own podcast, start your own, you know, site or whatever you want to do. That's the same thing that I did at North Carolina A&T when I started TrueBull.com. You know, you can do your own thing as long as you're out here producing and working and having something to show to people when you are connecting with them, because that's also the second piece of the thing too, as well. It's like the networking part is so crucial, because the only reason that I got the opportunity to be able to work with ESPN is because I was in, you know, my professor's offices. I was in my interim chair's offices. I was in these different faculties' offices and everything, like saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. You know, this is what I've done already. And when opportunities come up, now you're on their mind. You know what I mean? And they're passing you along and, you know, giving you a chance to try to go and do something special. And that's, for me, that's happened to me. I went into Miss Wiggins' office, Miss Gail Wiggins, love her to death. Went to her office and was like, hey, I'm a freshman here at A&T. I'm Donovan Dooley. I do X, Y, and Z. And this is what I'm interested in. And lo and behold, Bill Roden from ESPN at the time comes in and is like, hey, we're starting this new program for HBCU journalists, called the Roden Fellowship. And, they so happened to pick me. And, and that's how I ended up getting into this space. And, everything kind of fell into place after that. So, only thing I would say is like, just continue to work, continue to do what you do what you want to do what you're passionate about, and network, and make sure you have your stuff that you're able to pass along, because the opportunity will come if you prepare yourself for it.
One of my biggest thesis is working for free. I think if you work for free, you get into doors that you'll never believe that you could get into, because if you charge someone's going to start to kind of compare you against everybody else. So if you work for free, they're going to let you in, and then you can really show your stuff. What are your thoughts on working for free, especially from an internship perspective?
Yeah, I believe that you should take it if you can. I mean, there's a whole lot of people who do not have I'll say they don't have the opportunity or the chance to, considering because they got all these other different circumstances that are going on, in their life. And maybe they just don't have the time to really take out to do an unpaid internship or to do something of that nature. So I completely understand that in that regard as well, too, which is why I think that as an industry, especially in this communications field, we should be working to make sure that nobody has to make that hard decision, and things of that nature. For me, it worked out for me, and that's what I'll say. Like, it worked out for me to do unpaid internships, to work, get some skills, get some work out there for people to see, on websites and on different platforms, things of that nature. It worked out for me, and if you are in that position to be able to do that, I would tell somebody else to, yes, go ahead and do that as well. Work for free, get your work out there. Get your stuff published, get help from people who have been in the field, you know what I mean? Because that stuff's going to be valuable going all the way down the line,
Right.
So, but I understand that a lot of people are not in that position to be able to make that decision. And so that's where I feel like we, as an industry, we have to also work harder to make sure that we're not leaving talented journalists out there to dry because they have to make those tough choices.
I'm always thinking about the audience as far as like bringing them value. I want to get into a few tactics here. Give me the elements of a great article.
Right. Number one, I think you have to be, and people will disagree with this, but I think you have to be connected to your story. I firmly believe you have to be connected to your story in some way, because if you're not going to truly give the same essence that you would if you were not connected to that story. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I do a story on the plights of Black Americans, I'm going to give that story more, you know what I mean, than I would than a person of another ethnicity would. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be connected to your story. And you have to reach out and get other voices outside of yourself. I feel like that is a huge part of storytelling as well. It's not just seeing it from your vantage point, but seeing it from other people's vantage points as well. And, just tying it all together through making the reader actually feel what the story is supposed to be about, feel how it's supposed to connect, and feel what you're trying to communicate to them. And I feel like those are the three main points. I feel like you have to be connected to your story. I feel like you have to get, other people's vantage points to be able to completely tell a full, well-rounded story, and you got to be able to connect with the reader and be able to get them to feel what you want to display.
That's awesome. I totally agree with that, because when you're working on a subject that you don't know much about, it's like you're reaching.
Yeah.
You're reaching at all times, where I've had people even reach out about HBCUs, and they're so not connected. No matter what I say, they're still not going to get a full understanding. So that's good. I'm glad you told me that, because I'm not classically trained in media. And when I started this, I didn't know what I was doing. It was just an Instagram account, and then it's turned with podcasts and, and everything like that. And I've learned along the way,
Right.
and I can probably learn a lot from you, being classically.
I mean, we all learn a lot from each other,
Right.
I feel like that's the key too. Whereas like we have to take these opportunities, in these circumstances to be able to look like, hey, you good in this area, I'm good in this area. We collab and we working together, trying to get everybody strong. You know what I mean? I feel like we need to focus on that too as a community as well. Not just as a HBCU community, but also as just a Black community in general. It's like we got to collab instead of we're looking like, oh, that person's gonna get in the door here, I gotta beat them there. It's like, no, we gotta come together. You know what I mean? And try to help both of us get to somewhere we need to be. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Why did you start your own media outlet?
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because when I started truebull.com back at A&T, the whole preface of it was to give other journalists the chance to be able to produce work and to be able to learn and grow. You know what I mean? I like there's still some of my friends, like I still have really close friends that worked with me, on that site. And I still talk to them to this day, and the focus of it was just to give people a chance and opportunity. I learned how pivotal and how vital it was to have an opportunity to produce your own content from working with ESPN and working under Bill Rhoden. I learned like how powerful that can be if you're just giving like these students a voice and giving them a chance to be able just to do work. And so I was like, what we can do here is like everybody's not going to have the opportunity to work with the ESPN or work with the CBS News or work with whoever, you know what I mean? But we can give them a platform here to where they can write. I have some expertise. I can help edit. I can help refine their tools, you know what I mean, to help them be better. And we can publish their stuff. And, and I've had people that went from truebull.com to go on and do some really amazing stuff, like working with like some actual publications like the Tuscaloosa News. Some of them have even gone on to apply for the fellowship, the ESPN fellowship, and things of that nature as well too. So like it really, I want that to be a springboard for other people to get into more opportunities, and that's exactly what it did. So I'm happy with it.
Right. If someone's starting out, and let's say you were starting out and you were fresh, where do you see the opportunities in media today?
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I see the opportunities in media. I see a lot of entrepreneurship in media.
Yes.
I see a lot of that, to be honest with you. Like, I think the days of you coming out, going to a traditional newspaper or going to a traditional news station locally, I think those days are starting to be numbered, if they haven't already. And I feel like with the invention of social media, you can really create your own platform and speak to a specific audience and a specific market that's going to enjoy the stories that you're telling. You know what I mean? That you want to say, that you want to tell. Like even if it's just HBCU, we've seen markets where just HBCU content is going to do well. I mean, like look at your account. I mean, we're plus 100K on Instagram. You know what I mean? That's just on IG.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's an audience out there for what you want to do. You just got to tap into it and find it. Now that's difficult.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to do. But I feel like that's really the trajectory of where this is all going. I think that, with everybody being so consumed on their cellular devices, that you can create your own platform, and that's why I would challenge people to do. Like, even if if you need some stability or whatever, you can do this on the side to your 9 to 5 or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? And you can you can actually create an entire platform that people will follow and people will engage with.
Yeah. And people will pay you. Like you get paid. You can make YouTube money. You can make Instagram sponsored post money. You can spin off and, do apparel. It's just so many ways to make money. You can get one you can get one sponsorship, and that may be $100,000. You can have a title sponsor, and, it's all about relationships and, a lot of people, I don't think enough people realize how hard it is and how much work creating content is
It is.
on a daily basis. And when
Right.
you think about those big publications, that's not easy. Even a guy like Stephen A, like, you know how hard that is every day to get up and do content.
People don't realize. Yeah, people honestly do not realize it. Like, you got to come up, and the thing about it too is like they're expecting something fresh from you every single day,
Every day.
even when the news cycle ain't even fresh.
Right.
And that's the thing about it too, where it's like, what am I gonna come up with today that you ain't seen yesterday, the day before, even the week before, when we don't even have a different news cycle. You know, and so like it's definitely a challenge. That's why people don't really understand it. It's like we're having to come out here and produce content all the time and do these different things. And like sometimes it's just like, yo, where are we getting this from?
Right. There's nothing out there. That is so true. That is so true. Now you started your own foundation.
Yes.
Walk me through the process of starting a nonprofit. So if somebody wants to start and they know nothing about it, just walk me through the whole process.
Right. So starting day one, and obviously the pandemic gave me a lot of time to be able to like plan this whole thing out and see like step by step what needed to be done. But number one, I would say it starts with a lot of research, a ton of research into what you are actually trying to do, what you actually want to accomplish, what your mission is going to be. And then number two, you have to go and file all the paperwork, with your state, whatever respective state you want to file it in, where that be your articles, or your bylaws or anything of that nature, all that legal paperwork that you have to get solidified, all that comes into play as well too. And then number three, it comes into like trying to form what this is actually going to look like. You know what I mean? Like, how are you actually going to present this? What's this actually going to look like to the actual viewer and the consumer and your audience? And there's just a lot of steps, man. There's a lot of steps to it. It's a long and arduous process, but it's been fun. Creating the Dooley Foundation was something that I've always wanted to do, but I never knew I would do it this quickly. But it's been something that's been fun, and we're so excited to be able to help marginalized communities just achieve opportunities. I just feel like that's such a key for especially like our people. It's like we need opportunity. Like you just need something that can get you in that door. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just like the bridge to creating something special. Like if you just give somebody an opportunity, who knows if they can do it? They can just run with it, and that's what we want to try to do through a myriad of different forms. You know what I mean? We're still very young, and so we're growing day by day, but that's what we want to do, and that's kind of the thought process for it.
You're right. Awesome. Now, how do you get people to help you? Do you try to build it up to a level where you're looked at as an authority and then try to get people under you? Or do you share your vision with people and try to get people from day one? Or do you go to people that believe in who you are and bring people that are close to you? Do you bring family members? Because, getting people to work with you is a tough thing.
It is. Yeah.
So I want to know kind of your thought process behind that and your strategy.
I think it's got to be a combination of both, honestly. Like, everybody is different, and I'm learning this day by day as we go by, and we're doing this. Like every single person that you talk to, every single person that you communicate with, whether that be social media, whether it be out in person in the community, everybody that you're going to talk to is going to be different. Like they're going to view you and your organization differently from a different scope. And so what we're really learning to do is we're really learning to try to be everything for everybody if we can. You know what I mean? Like for some people, especially starting off, we're going to be the local community organization that's just looking to help people out in the community and help give scholarships out and help create opportunities and different things of that nature for a lot of different people, and as we move later down the line, we still want to have those elements, you know what I mean, that we started out with. But, as we get older, maybe we're having corporations and different other people looking at us like, oh, okay, this is something that's a little bit more upscale. This is outside of that local branch now, that local reach. This is something that we can we can start looking at as somebody that we can start partnering with, like from a corporate level. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's really kind of a different strategy than what I've dealt with before, like dealing strictly in media. But it's fun. It's fun, and so you got to do a lot of different strategies, a lot of different methods, and you really can't have anything that's off the table. You know what I mean?
You got to be creative
on this.
Right. Makes sense. So what's next for you?
You said what's next?
Yeah, what's next for you?
Yeah, what's next for us is, we're still going to continue to preach our mission, continue to try to create opportunities. We've already we're going to give out 2 $500 scholarships probably by the end of July, if not the early part of August, to students, to minority students that are going to attend a 4-year college or university. Right now we have our sweepstakes that's available for everybody who wants to participate. You can win $1,000 cash prize, and your donation will go to obviously impacting marginalized communities and helping to serve underserved communities and create opportunities for them. And so we're just taking it day by day. The Dooley Foundation, we're just going to continue to grow. For me as an individual, I'm just going to continue to grow every day in my craft and get better than what I need to get better in as a media professional. And we'll see where the road takes us. I'm a firm believer. And, God has a plan for your life, and God has a purpose. I'm just trying to follow His steps every day and see where that leads. So that's all we're doing. That's probably the next steps for us, and that's what we're doing.
Now, when we first started talking, you talked about your affirmations that you do every day.
Yeah.
Since you started doing affirmations, have you seen a change?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, 100%. Because I started doing them. I think at the start of 2021. Yeah, I started doing my start of 2021. And you just seen, it might not be in a material sense, but you start to see clarity, clarity in what the vision should be, clarity in what your purpose should be, clarity in what you should see for your life, at least, you know what I mean? And I feel like if you have those steps planned out first, then you'll start to see a lot of those things start to come in. They'll start to come into alignment with what, needs to be going on with your life because of what you're seeing, what you're proclaiming, out of your mouth every day. You see what I'm saying? So I think they've helped me a lot, to be honest with you. They just give me some sense of structure, some sense of, like I said before, clarity for what I have to go and what I have to do moving forward. So, yeah.
Makes sense. This is great, Donovan. I wish you the best on everything. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can get in touch with us if you go on our Instagram at the Dooley Foundation. You can also follow us on Facebook at Dooley Foundation Incorporated. And we're on Twitter. Just type in the Dooley Foundation. You should be able to find us. If you want to get in touch with me, all of my ats are at Donovan Dooley on Twitter. And you can just type me in, you can find me. So yeah, if you want to find us, get in touch with us, help us out. Feel free to donate, feel free to share the word with your friends and family.
You have a great name, Donovan Dooley. It goes well together. How important is a good name?
I think it's really important, honestly.
It is.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think it's very important because I always thank my parents for the name, because at one point they were going to call me Andrew, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I wouldn't have liked that.
Right.
So, but yeah, Donovan just kind of flows. It just kind of flows with who I am and, everything that I've done. So it just works.
Makes sense. So you got Milwaukee or Phoenix to win this?
Man, golly. God, see, if I say something now and I'm wrong when it airs,
we're gonna pull it up. We're gonna pull it up and we're gonna run it.
And everybody's gonna look at me crazy. Crazy enough. Even with how Game 5 went, I got Phoenix. I got Phoenix. I think that in Game 6, their back's gonna be against the wall, and I think they're gonna pull out something. I think they're gonna pull it out. You know what I mean? I think going back to a Game 7 in Phoenix with that crowd, I think it's going to be crazy. I think they're gonna find a way to win 2 games here. I know that sounds crazy, considering the way Holiday and Middleton and Giannis, how they all played. in game 5. But I think the Suns will find a way. I think they'll find a way.
I got Milwaukee in 6. It's just that size. That size is a real thing. And Drew Holiday, they don't give him his props for being as great of a defender as he is. In that Brooklyn series, he made Kyrie go in the corner and hide.
Right.
Now Chris Paul has had 3 bad games, well, quote unquote bad games. Yesterday wasn't that bad, but if you're a top 5 point guard of all time, you have 21 and 11. You can't have somebody else that you're playing at a better game, 27, 13, and 3.
Correct.
So, with him being third best on the team, if you put Middleton above him, so it's gonna be interesting. But I'm gonna go with Milwaukee. So we're gonna run this back.
That's a good pick. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's a good pick for us. that's a brain pick. Phoenix is all in the heart. Phoenix is all in the heart right here. That's Milwaukee's the brain pick though.
Right. But let me tell you, when Milwaukee was down 2-0, I figured I was still saying Milwaukee. So I placed a couple of bets and I got some good deals on some bets. I bet $50 to $100, because they were down 2 already. So, it's looking good for me. So, but thanks, Donovan. With you being, one last question, with you being a trained professional, what do you think we can do better in an interview like this?
Honestly, everything's went pretty smoothly so far. The only thing that I could say is just make sure everything is just still conversational. You know what I mean? That's what people want. Those people want to see. They want to see conversation. They want to see dialogue back and forth. You know what I mean? Different things of that nature. I felt like this interview, I've done plenty of interviews before. I feel like this interview has been, pretty conversational for the most part. You know what I mean? Because I do a lot of these different things. I see ones that can be real choppy. You know what I mean? Really, and you never really want that. But as far as everything that you guys have done, I think it's pretty good.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Donovan. Give us your @s again. Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah. Instagram @the Dooley Foundation and @me @Donovan Dooley. It's just all one word. Twitter, just type in the Dooley Foundation and just type in my @Donovan Dooley. Facebook, Dooley Foundation Inc., and just type everything in. You know what I mean? You can also find us on our website at dooleyfoundation.org. So www.dooleyfoundation.org. So thank y'all.
There you go. Sounds good, Donovan. Thank you.
I'm good, man. Appreciate you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Hey guys, it's Todd Finley, the founder of HBCU Grad. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. If you could, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.